Hello, Waswere here, back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the new tank armor that was announced today and how it could find its place in the RS3 combat meta. You probably had the exact same reaction I did when the trailer came up and they said T90 tank magic armor. Why are you releasing this? We have Acto already. Why mage gear? I thought hybrid gear would be really cool to be a tank armor. And then I got thinking about Animate Dead. Recently, the RS guy did a great job of showing off the power of Animate Dead by duoing Solak with someone who was on Legacy mode on the first try. With Animate Dead, this could really shake up the group PVM meta with this new armor. Before we jump into the video, let's go over Animate Dead again. It gives you extra damage reduction when wielding magic tank armor, with the reduction coming from your defense level and the armor value. I've summarized what the damage reduction will be with each piece of armor equipped below. Note that the maximum reduction from Animate Dead is 75%. I'm going to be using Acto as a placeholder for the new items just because I don't have pictures of them or able to use them in the video. So whenever you see Acto, just assume it's the new armor. First, we need to go over the armor and its set effects. Yes, it has a lot of effects. When you have two pieces, it gives you 12% reduction against magic attacks and 8% reduction against melee hits. Pretty nice for only needing to wear the helmet and boots or helmet and gloves depending on what you're doing. And then you can leave power armor for the other 3 slots, sacrificing very little damage. To illustrate how this will reduce your damage, let's take an example of a 2000 melee hit. It's first reduced to 800 by prayer, with the prayer damage reduction being 60% due to either having an Essence of Finality or an Amulet of Souls equipped. It's then reduced by 8% to 736, and then finally to 595 by Animate Dead. So just wearing the 2 pieces of armor reduces the hit from 800 to 595, more than a 25% damage reduction. This 2-piece setup has an opportunity to play out in solo PVM where losing the style bonus is worth the damage reduction. In this case, losing the Carapac wrist wraps and Elite Tectonic Helm represent a loss of 38 style bonus, which is about 3% DPS. Moving on, when you have 3 pieces of tank armor equipped, the previous effect is increased to 18% for magic attacks and 12% for melee hits, which is then doubled to 36 and 24% respectively if earth spells are being used. We'll keep on the tectonic body and legs, but use the new armor for boots and gloves and helm slot. Using the same example as above, a 2000 melee hit, but with earth spells this time, it'll again be reduced to 800 by prayer, and then down to 608 because of the set effect. We then have 3 pieces for Animate Dead, which give 193 damage reduction total, lowering the hit all the way down to 415. Between the set effect and the Animate Dead spell, you're looking at nearly a 50% damage reduction in this situation. As we're also losing the Blast Diffusion boots, another 14 style bonus is lost for DPS, which is a total of 52. This turns out to be about a 4% DPS loss, somewhere in the order of 4 to 5%, plus losing the special effects of the boots and gloves slot, so whether it's Cinderbanes, Carapac wrist wraps, or Blast Diffusion boots. For 4 pieces, this is when things start to get really interesting. The set effect for 4 pieces is that every time you are hit, there is a 6% chance that it will infect your opponent with Croceus Death Spores, which increase the damage they take from behind by 10%. I'm assuming that it lasts a minute like a regular Vuln and stacks with Vuln and Smoke Cloud, further increasing your damage. Before we get into the DPS calculations on this one, let's do the same damage example with our top being our only non-acto piece. A 2000 base melee hit gets reduced to 800 by prayer, and then to 608 from the set effect. From there is dropped by 287 to 321, with the 4 pieces of armor giving nearly 60% damage reduction in this scenario. However, the total style bonus loss is up to 83 between the 3 items, which represents between 6 to 7% DPS loss. From your stats, it really depends on what your weapon and other armor is. On top of that, the DPS you lose is somewhat transferred to your partners and group bosses, with a 6% activation chance and a 1-minute duration. Once it procs, it will likely be up for most of the fight. Most group encounters already involve players putting themselves in a situation where they are flanking the boss, and this only aids it. In a 4-man solo kill, losing 7% DPS from your tank is worth it to gain the damage boost for the other 3 players in the team, as they only need to provide an extra 3% DPS to each to make up the shortfall, which should be possible assuming it lasts 1 minute. This is even more true in larger group bosses like AOD, where there are 6 non-tanks attacking the boss from behind, meaning the uptime requirement to break even is much, much smaller. And this continues with raids where there are 9 non-tanks, so the DPS increase is basically minimal at that point. In summary, for large group bosses, wearing 4 pieces of tank armor from this new set provide a 50 to 60% damage reduction and also give your teammates more DPS to make up the lost DPS from you as the tank. Now, 5 pieces is less important and more for the super hard to tank bosses where you really need a massive damage reduction. Think Phase 4 Carapac or High Enrage Glacier. When your HP falls below 20%, you'll gain a fungal shield which scales with your armor rating and defense level for 15 seconds. How I understand it is that it takes damage for you for 15 seconds or until its HP pool is depleted, and then you start taking damage again. But who knows how it'll actually work. At this stage, the description wasn't the best. And there's also a 120-second cooldown on this as well, so you're probably only getting it like once a fight. So how does this all change the meta? It does so in simple ways. When Cinderbanes don't work and it's a solo boss that hits with magic or melee, you can just throw on the 2 pieces of armor in the gloves and helmet slot, and you'll get a nice damage reduction with a small cost of DPS. If it's hitting you a little too hard and you need a little more reduction, you can throw on the boots too in the 3rd slot. The DPS loss is only 4%, but it's almost a 50% damage reduction once you get more comfortable. Say with Soul Split flicking, you can go back down to the 2 pieces with a smaller damage reduction. For group bossing, if you're tanking, it's probably worthwhile to use this setup to 4 pieces. Your teammates will be able to deal more damage and hit higher to make up for the fact that you're losing about 6 to 7% DPS. The 3 places that immediately come to mind are Raid, Solak, and Next Angel of Death, where the team sizes are large enough to justify using this armor set. I wanted to give a big shout out to Sponge for designing a tank armor set that, at least on paper, has the ability to be viable in the meta. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, and if you're enjoying the content I'm creating, consider subscribing. It's free after all. But past that, have a good day, and I'll catch you in the next one.